Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Value system. There was so many more details to the Reimer family case. The whole reason why any of this came about is because the two twin boys had issues with their ability to urinate at about 8 months old. And it was discovered that they had a rare condition that did not allow their foreskin to retract. So they kept having urinary issues. So this is why the parents decided at that time to get the boys circumcised in the first place. So one of the circumcised little machine malfunctioned and burned one of the twins' genitalia. It singed it too badly. So the damage was irreparable. The parents, feeling like it would impair this young boy when he grow up to not have his male genitalia in working order, sought out some help or whatever. Ended up seeing Dr. Money on television, thinking that they could help their son. When they began to talk to Dr. Money, he suggested gender reassignment surgery to raise the young boy as a girl, which served, quote unquote, him and them. It would serve them because it would get rid of the mental anguish of the little boy as he grew up expecting to be a working male down there and unable to do so. And it gave him more so an opportunity to test his theory that gender roles are completely social constructs that have no bearing and no basis in the biology. Thank you, Judas Blues. So he got the parents to agree to raise Bruce as Brenda. They did that. They had to keep taking him back and forth, both of the boys, back and forth to Dr. Money's office to, quote unquote, check up on how they were doing. They performed gender reassignment surgery on Bruce. Basically, y'all know what that is. They took all of his male reproductive organs and fashioned him a vajayjay. Gave him all kinds of estrogen and all that kind of stuff to feminize him physically. But he, because he's biologically male and gender is not a construct, was doing boy things. Wanted to fight, wanted to climb trees, want to get, okay? Acting like a boy. Traditionally, because he is a boy. This is an individual. This is a human being that they took the biological markers away from. Gave him hormonal treatments. Once you remove a male's testes, especially prepubescently, he doesn't have the opportunity to produce the amount of testosterone that he's gonna need later on in life. So they take his testes and then began to give him hormonal treatments of estrogen so that when he hit puberty, he would grow breasts and all of this type of stuff. But the psychological could not be changed. Brenda was bruised on a cellular level, on a psychological level. I told you that the psychology is the biology. It cannot be separated. The nurture cannot override the nature. He also abused those boys by making them play out, positions. Y'all know what I'm saying? In front of him. Undress, these is little boys, undress and get on top of each other and all that kind of stuff. Thank you, Go-Go. A lot of tea parties do not talk about having complete gender reassignment surgery and then coming back to the original biology later. They don't talk about that. They want to say that when those individuals delete themselves, it's because of cultural gender roles that they don't fit into and bullying. No. Because we now live in a society that accepts that culturally. Because of what was made to believe biologically. That's how they got it to be culturally accepted, by telling you that genetically, that people were genetically predisposed to being Tea Party or part of the alphabet community. That they were genetic. So they had to convince people that it was a biological basis that would allow them to accept it culturally. Do you understand that there is no separation of that? If you believe something biologically, the culture changes to reflect it. This is why this is the first lie of feminism. The separation of biological markers away from biology and putting it in the category of culture so that they can change it or eradicate it. Notwithstanding the fact that the entire experiment failed and it ended in both of those twin boys deleting themselves after they were grown. The one who was raised as a girl actually went back to being a boy, a man, and living his life as a man, but could not overcome the trauma that had been introduced. His brother also. They both deleted themselves. Thank you, C. Latterman. Thank you so much. So you teaching today. Glad I made it. Keep cooking. We need these lessons. We need them. They are critical. So the separation of gender away from the biological component completely undermines the truth of how human beings work. Thank you so much, Chano. Said they politically fought for society at large to accept their self-imposed G-side. Exactly. It completely undermines the truth of how the human being works. A people's culture is designed around their biological parameters. Strength and weaknesses are accounted for in a general sense, and thus a culture is produced based on the biological truth and understanding. Once a culture is established, the environment or the legal is developed to maintain biological and cultural understanding. After which, or as a result of this, a set of values is then created and acted upon. The only way to change a set of values is through a bioculturon event, meaning you must change all three at the same time. And how Black women get bamboozled about that is due to not understanding these basic concepts. Thus, the lie seems to make sense, but does not make sense in reality. I may read a part of this article because it's tragic. I'm gonna read some of this article. I have to do it. The diabolical part of all of this is that the experiment was a failure and they adopted it. Do we understand the diabolical nature of that? His experiment, his theory was proved false by his own hand. But it's here. The young lady whose video I started with, just used his definition for that. Just used his understanding. The understanding that we now have about the supposed difference between what gender is and what sex is came from Dr. Money, that failed experiment, that falsely disproved theory, but they treating it as a truth. I need that to absorb. I need people to absorb that. A proven lie is utilized as the foundation and serve to us as a truth that you dare go against